Welcome back to M6 to New South Wales, everybody. Well, England have done it. They've gone to Perth and put on a Brendan McCullum batting bonanza. Absolutely dominated Australia with both bat and ball and come away with what looked to be a convincing win that really set the tone for the Ashes. Root clinching a century, Crawley and Duckett both scoring runs at an alarming pace, and Archer getting 10 wickets. Well, that was the dream. Instead, we got treated to two of the strangest days of cricket I've ever seen. Australia have come away with a win, and England looked like they had absolutely no clue. Joining me today are the usual cast of Josh, Steve, Richard, and myself, Isaac. Josh, what have you got to say for yourself?
TravBall's better than BazBall, mate. That's all I've got to say. Travis Head, I think, is probably the most ridiculous game of cricket I've ever watched. I'm still, we're on the morning of the second test, and I'm still not over what happened. I can't really compute what happened. I mean, at lunch we were gone. Australia was absolutely gone. Effectively it was 1 for 100 with the lead that you had. So I think your second scores about 1 for 60, which put you 100 runs ahead of us. And then for it all to be over by stumps, to me is just that's crazy.
I'm glad you said that though, Josh. I was thinking today about what we were going to talk about, and I was just running through, and I've not rewatched anything since the first test. And the more I thought about it, the more it came back to me. I'm so angry. I'm so angry because, like, if I'm honest, Isaac's introductions has completely set it straight. Like, and what you said, like, to be 65 for 1 at lunch, and then what with 6 wickets, 39 runs or something like that, and you go chase it down in 28.2 overs, I think it was. What is that? That's not Test cricket.
Yeah. I've watched it a lot of times back. Actually, I've watched it a number of times, mate.
Bet you have.
Yeah, that's not a surprise.
I think it's one of those things. Travis he's opened the batting a lot in white ball cricket and in Test cricket as well when he's been in the subcontinent. So it's something he's done before. So I think the way that he plays, it's similar to some other players we've had in the past. Like I think of like Mitch Marsh, Adam Gilchrist, guys like that. Who like to go pretty hard from the outset, and guys like that, it either comes off or it doesn't. And for Travis, obviously, it was a brilliant innings, one of the best I've seen from an Aussie in Ashes cricket, and lucky for him and the rest of Australia, it came off.
Was it? I think because I've just been watching the highlights back again. I think on commentary they said it was the fastest Test 100 in an Ashes or something. Was it?
What did he get there in?
It was slightly slower than Gillies.
I think Gilchrist would have been quicker, wouldn't it?
It was, yeah. Gillies was quicker. So I think they said it was the equal third fastest Test 100 by an Australian ever. I'm not sure about Ashes cricket, but
I think in Ashes it was the second fastest behind Gilly by about 4 balls or something like that.
Well, looking at when he was done, it was 123 runs, 83 balls, 16 fours, 4 sixes, and he had a strike rate of 148.19. It's not bad, really, is it?
That's T20 stuff.
It's ridiculous, isn't it?
That's a white ball, small boundaries.
Yeah, but if you look at it though, it was sublime. I'm not taking that away from him whatsoever. But Labuschagne got 51 in 49 balls as well. Like it was absolutely more to do with the bowling, I think, than it was. Head obviously had to attack, and the way he played it was unbelievable.
He BazBalled us, didn't he?
Yeah, of course he did. But, it was exactly the way we wanted to play.
To interrupt. He didn't even go straight after him. It's not even like, well, from memory, because I've not watched it back. I don't even think he went chasing it from ball number 1. But I think looking from our perspective, it's obviously short pitch bowling as the tactic, and every now and again, I mean, it's got him before. Australia did it to us at Lords, if you remember, in 2023 when we were 180 for 1, and we ended up losing that game as well. But that's the first time and a couple of people have said this. That's the first time I've seen Stokes look like he looked well,
Didn't
not
want to be there.
overawed, like he didn't have an answer. He couldn't even think of anything. Josh actually mentioned on the day that we missed having a spinner just to take the pace off the ball, like you would do in a white ball game when it's going to all parts. Just slow it down, take the pace off, and make you don't put the pace on the ball for the batsman to sort of get it away. But that's my big. I've got two big concerns from it. I'm not bothered about if Travis Head opens the batting going forward. I'm okay with that because I think there's a decent chance we'll nick him off quite early. But the captaincy issue, well, not the issue, but as I say, it's the first time he's looked like he didn't have an idea.
Plan.
And going back to Lords, the game is in the palm of their hands, and they can't. I feel like they're just tunnel vision of one particular way of playing, and they've missed out on a massive opportunity again. And what I fear is we then lose the pink ball test, and I know I'm moving forward a little bit, against the best pink ball bowler that we've seen. We're behind the 8 ball. We're 2-0 down. We have to win all 3 games. Sydney will get rained off, and we'll win the other 2, and we'll work it out halfway through a series again. So I think there's,
last Ashes all over again.
I was working when he chased him down. I kept trying to check for updates, and I saw Steve on WhatsApp having a go at the bowling and the lack of a plan. But I was absolutely livid for about an hour afterwards. I was spitting feathers. And I can't honestly, that. But at the time, I was livid. Do you know the most frustrating thing for me is we've been here before. The Indian series in the summer, which is a fantastic series, great advert for Test cricket. Two countries who really, really want to sort of champion playing Test cricket. We threw that last Test away on the last morning, but he's straight back to Lords 2023. And Australia wouldn't do that. I think they're too professional to do that. And
and you know what? That's the point that got me. When I was watching it live, like when we were nine overs in, and the short stuff in it, when 30 wickets on that pitch had gone from decent length, mainly nicking off. And we thought 9 overs into the 4th innings of a test, we should be trying to bounce them out.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't even. Travis Head wasn't even teeing off that bad then, but we played into his hands. Like it was the first time, and I'm trying not to let emotion come into it too much, but this is the first time under Stokes and Brendan that I actually thought, "What are you doing?" Like there was no slow down for a second. Just it's obviously
there's no spinner to slow it down, was there?
Yeah,
We've
but
gotten over it.
even with
no change of tactic at all, or even
you didn't need it.
Yeah, he was literally
a spinner to slow it down.
Yeah,
you could just take 30 seconds extra longer walk into your mark and stuff like that, because like it was literally bowl the ball in, head hit it, repeat. Like, it wasn't smart. Yeah. Like just do something different. But from 9 overs onwards, like they looked like they didn't have a clue. And I was sat there watching going, when is someone going to go, boys, stop for a sec? Like even at the drinks break or something like that, there was just they came back and did the same thing, and I was thinking, hold on a sec, this hasn't worked for 15 overs or whatever it is. Why are you carrying on?
I think England over the last few years have actually put, because the whole BazBall mantra is putting the opposition under pressure, isn't it? That is what their aim is, and I can absolutely see what they're trying to do. And people think it's just hitting the ball as hard as far as they possibly can the whole time. And it's not as simple as that. I think McCullum's a clever bloke and think he knows his cricket. He's played a lot of cricket all around the world, and I think he's a bit more of a deep thinker than just thrash it as hard as you can. But it just didn't look as that. It looks like we've just been out BazBall. Head started putting bat on ball, and we didn't have an answer, and that is what we are trying to do to other teams, or what this regime is trying to do to other teams.
Josh,
What did Australia think of
there's
it,
a certain
Josh?
amount of irony in this, isn't there?
What was the first response? And obviously, take away the fact that obviously they'd have loved, you would have all loved it, and you would have all put your order in. But what was the actual response over there about what actually happened?
Oh, I think the response was obviously the same as everyone else. It was shock, but just the way that the game played out. I don't think it's a surprise that Travis Head can do something like that. But given the way the wicket was playing, how far behind the game we were, what our first innings looked like, I don't think anyone really expected it to be over on that day. I think when I looked at it, I went, right, well, we're chasing 200. It'll be a tricky chase, but I think we'll get there because I knew that the wicket was going to flatten out, but I knew it was going to be a tough chase regardless. Those 200 odd chases are always tricky. But, we know that the Perth wicket flattens out sort of, day 3, day 4, and that's when it becomes really good to bat on. So, I was still confident we could win, but, certainly not like that.
And do you know what I thought when we?
Sorry, Steve. Go on.
Sorry, when we got to 164 all out, and I actually thought that there's too much time in the game. We're never going to win it. I actually thought that. Thought like if you just played old school Test cricket to an over, which you guys can absolutely do with the likes of Steve Smith and usually Labuschagne. I thought you were going to win it when we were all out for 164, but what you did was, and the economy rates, I've made notes for today, but I didn't write them down because they were embarrassing. I think there was only one bowler underneath 9 on their economy rate, and come on, it was when you actually look at the first innings of Australia. It wasn't like we ripped through you. It was we actually put you under pressure, constant pressure, and you couldn't get away from that. Which is why, if you look at the fall of the wickets of Australia in the first innings, it was just constant. It was every 20 runs or so that you lost a wicket, or not even that. Sometimes at net. And I actually came away, even though we'd batted, barring Pope and Brook and possibly Smith, we batted not great. I thought, hold on a second, it's not as easy to bat on this because we made all of your batsmen look ordinary. And then what proceeded in day 2 is just absolutely mental.
Yeah,
It's
I think
chaos, isn't it?
I think I kind of want to.
Brilliant.
I think I kind of want to touch on because obviously we've talked about the England's bowling and stuff like that, not being a little bit crazy. Like we didn't really know what we were doing. Like we've questioned even Stokes' captaincy a little bit there, like talking about the bowlers. But the bowlers have not been helped at all by any of the batters. Doing your second innings on the second day of a Test series, and then your highest run scorer is Atkinson with 37. We lost most of our people. We lost most of everyone but under 20. I'm just looking at the numbers quickly. Crawley got 2 ducks in that game, so obviously I've got a vengeance with him that I need to talk about at some point. Duckett's got 28, Pope's got 33, Root got 8, Brook got 0, Stokes got 2, Smith got 15, Atkinson 37, Cars 20, Archer 5. The bat, obviously we can say it's a good pitch for bowling and stuff like that. But over 2 innings, that's just not good enough to win you a Test match, really, at all, is it? How much of it is on the batsmen? Because it can't just all be the bowlers that we're angry at. Like the batsmen have got to. I know it's a tough pitch, but come on, that's ridiculous.
You're more frustrated with the batting, without question. But all out in the second innings for under 34 overs is ludicrous. I think we were in a great position at lunch, but if you look at the few overs before lunch, because I was watching that before I got up early before I went to work, how many balls did Ollie Pope flash out and miss outside off stump before lunch. 3, 4. Duckett runs down the pitch. 2 or 3 balls to go before lunch? Gets hit on the hand. So the sort of warning signs are there. Whereas, ironically or funnily enough, I thought that Pope actually played quite well, and I thought he looked quite compact. I thought he looked quite tidy. And then suddenly he's chasing everything outside off stump. And I've heard him talking on TMS about it. He said he was happy with how he was playing, but how he got out in both innings, he was really, really disappointed with. So hopefully there's a slight change of tactic. And I'm all for putting bowlers under pressure. But I think that this is another recurring theme, that our bowlers aren't being helped enough with any kind of rest. What they've put into that first innings, bowling Australia out, was as well as I've ever seen us bowl in Australia, and arguably as well as I've seen a bowling attack for England bowl since 2005 together. I thought they were fantastic, every one of them. But like, look at Jamie Smith.
Yeah.
Jamie Smith, he's in the field. We bat first, so he comes in. He obviously he bats. He's got nobody to bat with after him, which he will come on to with Will Jacks playing, and then we're in the field, and he's wicket keeping obviously for all of that, and then in next to no time he's back out batting again. And the lad doesn't get rest.
But my thing is, and Josh, your pace bowlers have been around for a lot longer than our pace bowlers, and when I say pace bowlers, I mean fast bowling. Like, if you've got the likes of Archer and Wood bowling and putting their body through that, there's no way that they're going to be able to sustain 5 tests when you're making them bowl twice in 2 days. And by the way, you can't just bowl really, really well. You need to contribute with the bat as well.
No, definitely. I think particularly guys that are injury prone, and unfortunately Mark Wood is one of those guys, and it's just obviously he's not a big tall lad, but he just thunders through the crease. So yep, he's gonna get I think this is a knee injury, and he's gonna have issues with his side, and he's gonna have issues with his back, and stress fractures and all that sort of stuff. Like, it's just the way he bowls. He bowls absolutely rapid. So you need to give those blokes a day off, So when and this was my other point about BazBall that I raised ages ago, was if you're gonna play quote unquote BazBall in Australia, that's all well and good, but you've got to make sure your bowlers have got time off, because it is so hard to bowl in Australia.
Yep.
And we always say in Australia, if you give our quicks a day off, they'll win you the game. That's how good our bowling attack is currently, with Stark, Boland, Cummins, Hazelwood, all those guys. If you give them a day off, they will win you the game, because they're that good. So the batting has to be disciplined enough to get enough runs on the board, to be able to get those guys into the sheds, let them get the physios into them, and they can have a few massages, and they can come out after a day off and play. And I think England's a really yeah, exactly.
Look at the red down
yeah, and I think if you look at the second bowling innings, Jofra Archer was down on pace, which I thought was a little bit ridiculous, how slow he was bowling. Ben Stokes only bowled a couple of overs, which again I thought was piss weak. And I think as well, like, just going back on the tactics as well, the fact that you didn't pick your spinner is fine. I back the decision. But if you're gonna bowl to someone like Travis Head and he's going into 1-day mode, then your quick bowlers need to go into 1-day mode too. None of them were bowling cutters. None of them were bowling those slow bounces into the deck, taking pace off and changing their pace up. They all just came in and hit. No, they all just came in and like you said, Steve, they started the innings hitting a length with pace on, and then they just started bowling short. Stokes said he went to 3 or 4 different tactics. I didn't see him.
I didn't see 3. I didn't see more than one.
No.
It was very trust the process, wasn't it?
And then throwing the
There was
ball
no
to
process. So,
poor old Joe Root in the last over of the game, I thought was a bit fucking harsh from
oh,
Ben Stokes, particularly
Hey,
when he only bowled
yeah.
2 overs. He bowled 2 overs and got slapped for, I think he got slapped for 16 off his first over.
yeah.
He's done that a few
And
times
then
to Root, hasn't he,
He, he,
Stokes?
he did no. Butler did it to him against India at Old Trafford when we went, Isaac, when it was about 33 degrees.
Never
They
mind,
needed
ignore
5
that.
to win. He brought Root on and I panted his first ball for 4 and they won the game.
It's,
Stitch up.
it's, I just, no,
Should have given the
everything
ball
you've
to
just said,
Crawley to
Josh,
bowl it.
yeah, you might as well have. Well, he did nothing else, did he? He lasted 11 balls across both innings for double zeros. So he's about as useful as another Nebraska at the moment.
Yeah, he'll get a big score this series. Hopefully, it's not when Australia are in an unassailable lead. He will get a big score. I'm convinced of it. Absolutely convinced of it.
It's funny, the commentary here's been, that Travis has got to open, but I'm a little bit worried about Travis opening because
I'm
I
happy
think
with him opening. I really am.
I still think he'll do a really good job there.
Mm.
But I think the problem a lot of cricket fans have is they often think, whatever happened in the last game is going to happen in the next game, and it's just
Yeah,
not the
absolutely.
case. So it's one of those things where he's been so good at number 5 for us, being that in that counter punching role. It wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if he nicks off for a couple of cheap scores in this game, and then everyone goes, "Oh, well, he should have been at 5. He's wasted it at opener."
The fickle fans.
100%.
Well,
When it comes to
it's just about
selections,
being. It's just like what Josh said. Everyone, a lot of people just think back to the last game, don't they? And they just presume that the
they
same
do.
thing's going to happen. But I actually feel quite strongly about this, about Travis Head. I'd be chuffed if he opened the batting, and I know it can go wrong, and I know he can absolutely race to 100. But I think there's a pretty good chance that we'd get him early with a new
Well,
ball
he's
that's
not.
swinging.
He's not been in any
Makes me
form
feel-
before
No.
that second innings. He's not been in any form. So yeah, and the fact that this is what when I sat there afterwards and I'm reading what people are putting and like he was one of the people that they were going. He's not in any form before the test.
Yeah.
He's not looking too bad. Like if he's coming out to bat, it shouldn't blow your whole plan to bits. You should go, okay, let's nick him off. He's been nicking off for 18 months or whatever it is. Like, let's do it. But instead, it just went out the window.
Yeah, one
He's
thing I
also a
would say
left-hander
though,
as well. It's not even like a right, like they've been planning on bowling to a right-hander and a left-hander's come out. I know he's a completely different player to Usman, but they're both left-handed, aren't they?
yeah, and it's
But
funny. I think that Travis Head reminds me a little bit of David Warner. So I think he'd be a solid replacement for that style of player. But at the same time, what I would say about Travis Head, though, just on your points there about him not being in form, I also think Travis Head's probably the most clutch cricketer in the world. When it's a big game, he's always been the guy for Australia. You think of World Cup hundreds, World Cup final 100 against India in India, when that place was just that looked the hardest cricket could get. Like the ball was just doing everything, and then he comes out, scores a brilliant 100 with Marnus as well. I think scored 50 in that final, and then World Test Championship final, scored a big 100 there. He's done it in Australia for the last few years when we've been in trouble. He's been the guy that dig us out of the hole. I think back to Adelaide last year, and the year before that, we're in a hot mess, and he came in and just blasted 100 and completely saved us. So, and then again, last week he was incredible. He even takes clutch wickets. I think he's just that kind of guy, very similar to Ben Stokes in that way. Just seems to have the golden touch when we really need it. He's often the guy for us. Like the Boxing Day Test last year as well. We took 8 wickets in the last session to win the game, and it all started with him. He took Rishabh Pant's wicket when it looked like the game was going to eke out to a draw on the 5th day. So yeah, he just seems to be that talisman for us. But so I think he'll be good regardless, like wherever you put him, whether he's opening, whether he's at 5. I think he'll he'll be one of those guys for Australia that'll average 45 and he'll score plenty of hundreds for us.
The way he was my pick for player of the series. Thought I'd
you
mention that again. But I did also say it was 2-2.
Gone early.
So,
Well, to be fair,
I will say though, we've been absolutely bashing England. The one player that we haven't mentioned, who I think is a bit of a travesty when we're roughly 20 minutes in, is me personally, who should have got player of the match, Mitchell Stark.
Oh, 100%.
The way he bowled on that first day was, I didn't think we'd get to 172. I honestly didn't. It was, you've got your captain missing, you've got your second out, your two out, your three musketeers kind of gone in Cummins and Hazelwood, and Mitchell Stark bowled balls that I was just like, wow.
And you expect it from him. Up there, hasn't he?
Yeah, we expect it from him because it's Mitchell Stark. But when there was that many questions about the bowling attack, the way he did it, the way he literally dragged the other lot, and it must have given the likes of Doggett like real confidence to go, well, he's doing that, I will follow that up. Like it was unreal.
Yeah, there was all this talk before the test, wasn't there, about Australia missing, Cummins and obviously the players that they're missing, and then just to go and put in that bowling performance made it like as if no one was gone. It honestly made it look so easy. It's ridiculous.
And in 7.5 hours, he's going to have a pink ball in his hand.
Oh, God.
Brilliant. Yeah. And he's gonna be bowling at a lad who's just got 2 ducks.
Don't get me started on him. Don't get me started on him. In fact, can I actually just go for a second on a little bit of a very tiny, small little rant? Like, honest to God, this is going to be about a 5-10 second rant. But the fact that England have only got 2 opening batsmen, and we've had only 2 opening batsmen for God knows how long, is absolutely ridiculous when you've got a player who can go to the first test of an Ashes and take roughly 2 overs worth of balls and score 0 runs. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, he might not do this again this game, but let's be honest, we're not all fully confident in Zach Crawley, because there's even a Twitter page about him saying, what is Zach Crawley doing? And it's just videos of him getting like stupidly out. It's ridiculous. Why is there not a backup for Zach Crawley? That's
because they've got full faith in him. They've got full faith in him, and he's. I think the only way that Crawley gets dropped is if they don't see him, if it's on another Ashes cycle, because we always seem to look forward to. It's all based on the next Ashes series I find with selection these days, which is why I thought they've been playing Bashir all this time, and now he can't get a look in. But that's a different story. I think Crawley may be under pressure if they look at him after this series or during this series and say he is not the man to be playing for us in the next Ashes. Because I think the reason he's kept his place is because they want to back him and they're very loyal to, and they stick with them, which is because a lot of people have been calling for Ollie Pope. But they've been doing it based on him playing in Australia, I think. Hitting the ball at the top of the bounce because you get extra bounce. And he's just played the wrong shot. He shouldn't be in the first morning. He shouldn't be driving at that ball.
But he will do that.
And you shouldn't be driving in Australia like until it stops bouncing round you.
Well, especially in Perth. If I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Josh, but extra pace and bounce in Perth, especially the first morning. So hopefully he's it's a little bit Rory Burns sort of 2021, isn't it? Like,
he feels it.
He looked all at sea against that pink ball. It was swinging everywhere, and I worry for Crawley a bit in this test match. But no, I think he's got a big score. Well, you'd hope that he's got a big score in him, because you look at him and you think he should suit Australian conditions if he plays the right way. What I am hopeful for or with is that if you remember, Bumrah got him in, I can't remember which test where the test was in the summer, and then the next innings he came out and he played Bumrah quite well. where he seemed to completely change tactics. And I hope that he switches it up a little bit, but it's just not his nature, is it?
No, it's not. But
He wants
my
to
frustration
get to the
is
ball early to put pressure back on the bowlers, but all he does is put pressure on Ollie Pope when he's coming into bat, and
who's
we
already
haven't got a run
shot
on
of
board.
confidence.
And we're within the first over.
My only
twice.
like stress about it is we've got Zach Crawley, and listen, I'm not I'm playing it over the top there because Zach Crawley I think's actually had a pretty decent year maybe, but I just think that like the fact that we have like this top three that we've got Crawley, Duckett, and Pope, like other than Bethel, we have no one in there who's like knocking at the door because they will just stick with him. Obviously, I've got no problem with Duckett. He's my favourite man on the planet at the moment. But like, we just have no discussion about what we can do for openers. Like we've just talked about Australia's openers coming out. Travis Head opening in the second innings, Labuschagne opening in the first innings. Like at least they've got people who they can chop and change around. Whereas Australia will know that for this whole 5 games, they're going to face pretty much the same 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 players at least, and there's no change around. There's no change around really. Like it's a set team, but you've got to at least have them guessing. Am I wrong?
Yes, some of them have come over with the Lions, haven't they?
Yeah, but are they
some of the young pups?
But are they going to get in? Like, is that realistic? Like?
No, because they're that loyal to loyal to the top order, and I think there's a lot to be said for that. It's very easy to start chopping and changing. Very easy.
Josh, what are you in agreement that Crawley should be okay in Australia? Because obviously you see a lot of the Sheffield Shield, you see how the pitches are going to go. Is what they've been painting Crawley to be and should be fine in Australian conditions. Is that seen over there, or is this not really?
Maybe on some of the softer wickets, maybe. But I think the problem I have with Crawley is he doesn't adapt his game, and Australia is a funny place to play cricket, right? Because the UK is obviously geographically a very small place, right? So conditions are similar wherever, like everywhere I played in the UK, conditions were very similar. Whereas in Australia, they're vastly different because, you fly from Perth to Sydney, it's like you blokes flying to Turkey. Like that's geographically how far the distance is, right? Like it is a long way. Like the flight from Perth to Sydney is 4.5 hours. So it's, the conditions, it's like you're in a completely different country. And then same again with Brisbane. Like Brisbane, you've got the humidity up there. The wicket's generally pretty green and hard, so it swings and it seams. It's very difficult to bat on at times if you get the right conditions. But also, if you can adapt your game, it's very good to bat on. And same with Perth. You look at all the great Western Australian players. They're very strong square of the wicket because they don't drive on the up. When the ball's just back of a length, they don't drive because that's the ball that you nick, which we saw all throughout this Test match. Even the Australian players were doing it. So, you've got to be able to adapt your game, and that's the problem I have with Zach Crawley. Would it surprise me if he peels off 100 at Adelaide or Sydney or Melbourne? No, it wouldn't. But yeah, I just think anyone that averages 30 and doesn't revisit how they're going about it, that's a problem for me. But look, certainly from Australia's point of view, I hope you keep picking him.
So, but before we move on to our next one, because we can't talk about this all night, otherwise we'd be still going when the first ball's bowled in a few hours' time. But my only question to you all is it a mental thing what's happened, or is it a skill thing?
It could be both. Because starting off, an Ashes series in Australia, it's always going to be a pretty, it's not for the weak of mind, is it? So, we could maybe overthink things, put a little bit too much pressure on ourselves, and then this could produce stuff like this. But, you have also got to look at the tactics as well. Like, there's no diversity. We all kind of knew what to expect from us, maybe. Not obviously, like, Not obviously the performances that we did, but we know what to expect from us. We're gonna try and put you under pressure from both bowling and batting. We aren't going to be shying away. We're not going to sit there and block in for 10 or 15 overs and score two and over. We are going to try and get 50 and over in like 10. I think I think it can be both, but I don't. I think it's more. I think it's more this one. I think it is just more a bit of a storm, to be honest with you. Like I'm feeling like we're going to do better in the second one than in the first, but I think we kind of have to, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. We tend to switch it up and mix it up a little bit when it's a little bit too late. I don't think it's a skill issue. I just think it's the tactics. I think sometimes you've got to be smart, especially Test cricket away from home. We spoke about this last time. It's like it's playing away from home is so difficult against blokes who have been playing in their own conditions, obviously all their lives. And we're going over there and thinking we can do the same thing on Australian pitches where the boundaries are 100 meters long. And we're not playing at Durham, are we? We're not playing with sort of short boundaries. Yeah, my concern is that they can't adapt when the game is there in the palm of the hand, and I think it hopefully because it must hurt this losing this first test and the way that they've lost it must hurt. So hopefully they mix
it can't hurt the fans
and identify when
like
they do
it
just need to sit in for
half an hour,
just 10 overs. Yeah, that's all you need to do. Just sit in for 10 overs.
And I think as well, like one of the things, obviously there's been a lot made about Joe Root's record in Australia, and I don't think maybe part of it's mental, but I think as well, like just being able to put certain shots away, and taking a leaf out of like some of the best players that have ever toured Australia and done really well in Australia are players like Virat Kohli, Sachin Tendulkar, guys like that just score, like even Alistair Cook, like guys that just get tons of runs when they visit Australia. And I think it's because they understand what shots they need to play to score runs and what shots to put away. So there's a famous story of Sachin when he came out to Australia. He kept getting out, driving on the up and nicking off, trying to play through the covers. And he said before a test match, I'm just going to put the cover drive away. Like I'm not going to play a cover
It was in
drive.
Sydney, wasn't it?
It was, and
Yeah.
and guys like McGrath and those guys were just bowling the line where he could play the cover drive. And he just wouldn't touch it. He wouldn't go near it. He would wait for them to be impatient, get a little bit too straight, play off his pads, or bowl short, and he'd play square of the wicket. So it's just little things like that. Like Joe Root's got that shot where he likes to sort of get on top of the bounce and sort of guide it down to third man. You just can't do that in Australia. With the extra pace and bounce, it's the ball you nick. But we see him do it time and time again. He didn't really do it this Test match, to be fair. So I hope for his sake that he's come out here and understands that he can't really play that shot. But
I think he was out
that's
for
why
two big balls though in that first. He was the one that actually both balls in both innings was decent cherries.
They usually
I'll let him off a little bit.
Yeah, I think with Joe Root too. I think the dismissal where he chopped on, geez, that's unlucky to chop on in Perth. That's a very rare dismissal over there. But
Marnus did the same, didn't they?
Yeah. Marnus was a little bit
different.
different. It was because of the bounce. It was more the lack of bounce that seemed to get Joe Root on that one. But it's interesting. I think that's why Joe Root's. I'm looking at his numbers here. It's basically he averages 50 everywhere else and averages 45 in India, which is a great record. And it's only really Australia that he doesn't have a great record.
Yeah.
And I think it is just that extra pace and bounce. He can't play his favourite shot, but if he can put that away, like he's got all the other shots, and he'll go great guns if he can just put that away.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. But that's being smart, isn't it? So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully,
whether or not they can be smart.
Big if. Fellas, I've got a bit of a question for. I've got a bit of a question just because I don't really know. I don't know if everyone knows this, by the way, but I'm newer to cricket than everyone else. I've been watching it for 6 years, so I should know this by now, but I just don't. This is a pink ball test, so obviously it's a day-night test. But like, what is like we were saying before about how Stark's going to be holding a pink ball in, in what is it? 6 hours time. Well, more than
6
that. But,
hours.
it's going to be. That's the situation we've got. What is the difference between a pink ball and a red ball? Because obviously the red ball's just for normal tests. Is it just it's just a different color or
Nothing.
nothing?
The only difference is that the seam slightly, it's because of the way it's made, slightly stays a bit longer with the kookaburra when it's pink and black rather than red and white.
Got more lacquer on it as well. The pink ball.
Yeah, other
Yeah,
than
it does.
that, there's not a
It's not
massive
necessarily the
amount.
ball, Isaac. It's the conditions that you're going to be bowling in.
Yeah.
So when it's starting to go dark,
Lack of light.
when
Is
the
that why I've
floodlights
seen
come on,
Steve Smith with the American football? What's it called? The
no,
iPad, I
the
think.
Shandapol ones,
Ah,
not American football.
sorry.
Yeah, it's Shivering Iron, Shandapol, but he's using it because they're saying the glare. But I think Labuschagne came out and said that he questioned him on it, and some people say it didn't help him whatsoever, and quite a few people have done tests on whether, not on cricket, but because obviously American footballers do wear it to see if it does work. And there's mixed results for the black tape or whatever it is underneath his eyes. Sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. But in my mind, there's not much of a difference between night and day nighters and normal Test cricket, except for the lack of light. That's the only thing that I can think is the biggest difference.
And the conditions, it should swing, shouldn't it? It should swing for longer, and rather than it swinging early on in the day when it's cloudy, when it starts going dark and the floodlights come on. But a pink ball test is quite funny because they are the most important tosses to win in any game of cricket. Don't be surprised if England win the toss, we bat, and then as soon as it starts going, as soon as it's not bright sunshine anymore, it starts going a little bit gloomy and the floodlights come on, England declare. No matter what score they're on, no matter who's on for a big score, they declare and then bowl at Australia before the end of the day. A little bit like we did at Edgbaston in 2023.
Which we learned our lesson from.
Well, did we?
Did we? Did we?
We're not learning a lot of lessons.
Yeah, Joe Root going great guns not out, and yeah. But
Well,
no, it's more the condition. It's the conditions rather than the actual ball itself.
right.
I think.
Okay, I thought it was going to be more.
It's notoriously difficult to field the ball. Actually, the ball comes at you very, very quickly.
I thought it was going to be more akin to like a white ball.
Yeah, from a playing point of view as well, it's just harder to see. Every time I've only played against pink ball a handful of times, and it's just harder to pick up. The thing that's harder to pick up, and this sounds funny, is you can't actually see the seam as well in the bowler's hand when they they're in their bowling side. And when they gather the ball, you just can't see the ball as well. So typically, when you're batting, you're looking for, we call them search patterns. So you're looking for a search pattern in their bowling action where if they're bowling an outswing, the seam will be pointed towards sort of first slip, and if they're bowling in swing, it'll be pointed towards sort of leg slip. So before the ball's let go, roughly, if it's going to be in swing or out swing or things like that. And there's other things you look for too, but it's just harder to pick up. So you don't know if it's going to swing in, you don't know if it's going to swing out. So it's that sort of that split second reaction time difference that just makes you look like you're struggling a little bit. It's just because the ball's harder to pick up. That's all.
It's also quite funny. We keep talking about Mitchell Starc. He doesn't hide the ball at all, does he? When he's stood at the top of his mark. It almost looks obvious how he's gripping the ball. So he's got that advantage now where you can't really see it. But maybe the non-striker can look at that.
Well, exactly, and that's exactly what I was just about to say. It amazes me that the English don't do that a lot more with Mitchell Starc.
Yeah.
Is tell the batsman, and maybe that's something that they don't want because some guys like to sort of make it up, like figure it out for themselves. But it amazes me that the non-striker doesn't communicate more with the batsman, with Mitchell Starc. To tell him, he's gripping it in swing or he's gripping wobble seam, and it's just a gesture from the non-striker, and it's as simple as holding which hand you hold the bat in. So the bowler doesn't know what you're doing, but but there seems to be no sort of tactics there. I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe I'm just not picking up on them. But yeah.
No, I don't think there is. No, Michael Vaughan spoke about it on Stick to Cricket a good 2 or 3 weeks ago, actually.
Yeah.
He said, does it open up the chance for them to do that? And they don't seem to do it at the moment. So I think if he was skipper, I think he'd be pushing for that. But whether they want the that information that close to the ball coming down, then maybe not.
Yeah, everyone's different. I used to not like it as a batsman. I used to hate it when the non-striker was moving or doing anything other than just backing up, because it was always frustrating because you'd sort of be looking at the non-striker instead of the bowler, and I just felt I couldn't concentrate properly. But everyone's different.
Completely throws off your rhythm, I imagine. If you're just looking to do your own thing and then suddenly your non-strikers sending you some Morse code, I imagine it's a bit of a nightmare.
No, exactly, and I wasn't that good, so it didn't really help.
Why are you talking in the past tense?
I don't play anymore, mate.
He's 45 and can't run up a cricket pitch anymore. Well, boys, before we get into what should be a slightly lighter ending of today, with the last slightly serious middle bit that we're going to do for today, facing the axe, and we know it's early, we know we're only after one test, but is there anyone? Obviously, on the Australian team, I think it's quite safe. So, is there anyone facing the axe in the future after this series from this shambles of a first test that's happened? I'm gonna
England or Australia.
Well, Australia is probably trying to fit 15 people into an 11-man test, so
Yeah,
it's not them.
Usman doesn't make it out of this series, surely. He doesn't play again after this series.
I don't think so. I think that could be Usman done. I think
I was just about to say, I think he's done.
I'm surprised he picked him. I'm because he even looked finished in the field. He dropped a relatively simple catch at slip, didn't he?
Yeah. I
and he's not going to be chasing the ball down to the boundary for you.
I don't think they wanted to change two openers, though, did they, Josh?
No, and that's exactly right. And two young openers in particular, or I shouldn't say young, I should say inexperienced at test level. So Weatherald hasn't played test cricket, and I don't think they would have wanted to partner him with Constas. Two guys that are pretty fresh. But that being said, though, I don't think his record warrants him to be dropped, particularly recently. And people point out his numbers recently aren't that great, but neither are anyone's. Recently that's opened the batting for Australia. He's outscored every single opening partner he's had each series since David Warner retired. So, he's definitely not been our worst opener. And actually, since David Warner retired, he's had some brilliant series. And he's up until the West Indies. No one was questioning his spot, and then he had a poor series in the West Indies where everyone had a poor series. And then obviously he's done his back. I wasn't listening to the commentary at the time. I hadn't realised he'd hurt his back, so I didn't know what was going on. I saw him drop that catch, and I didn't realise that he'd gone off and all this sort of stuff. So when he didn't open, I was ropeable. And the fact that they let Jake Weatherald face the first ball, I thought was fucking criminal. But I think it's one of those things. Like if he was fit, I thought he would have played today. But as it is, it could be him done, because all it's going to take is Josh Inglis to score some runs at number 5 or 6 or wherever he bats, or Travis Head to score another 100, and that's his career finished. And both of those things are likely because they're two very good players that are in the side. With Travis Head and Josh Inglis, they're terrific players.
There's no chance that Englishman Josh Inglis could open, is there, going forward?
No, I don't think so. Josh English, no, I don't think. I don't think he'll open. I personally, I would play him at 6, and I would move Cameron Green up to number 5 because Cameron Green prefers batting at 4 or 5. So I'd move him up there. And the other thing is as well, Inglis bats really well with the tail. We've seen it in white ball cricket a number of times,
it does.
and I think that's an important skill with your number 6. Whereas Cameron Green doesn't like it, and it's very obvious he doesn't like batting with the tail. When he feels like he's running out of partners, he tends to panic, and the pressure's all on him to score the runs, and he tends to make silly mistakes. Whereas Inglis, he reminds me a little bit of Mike Hussey, where he's got all the shots. He's really inventive, but he's really busy too. He's really good at rotating strike. He's quick between the wickets. So he's good at pinching singles when he needs to, and he's a smart cricketer. So I'd love to see him bat at 6, whether they do that or not, or they might just keep it the same and just move one. But I think Inglis at 6 would be my preference, and Green at 5 with Trav to open.
Secret Agent Inglis.
I think the obvious one for England is I do think if Crawley finishes the series with a lower average than 20, then he's done. And we did speak about this a little bit, didn't we, over text? But I honestly think if we lose this series 4, maybe 5-0, I think that puts Stokes and Baz under pressure.
I think there could be big changes. I think there's half a chance that Baz walks away. I've said this on WhatsApp.
I don't think there's any other players, even if they all perform really poorly. I don't think there's any other players in the side. Obviously, they might change due to conditions or if people are injured and stuff. I don't think there's any other players that have a chance of never playing for England again, except for Crawley. And if we lose 4 or 5-0, Stokes may pack it in. Other than that, I don't think there's anyone really under that much pressure. But the fact that we've backed Crawley because we knew we were coming to Australia, and if he doesn't perform, I think that'll be it.
I think.
I'd agree with that with Crawley. I think if they don't see him playing in the next Ashes series, then I think But we all thought that Pope was in for the chop as soon as they took the vice captaincy off him, or gave it to Harry Brooks, should I say? And looking back now, that was never going to happen, was it? And bringing Bethel in, I don't think it even. They even gave it serious consideration. So we could be absolutely miles off.
We could be,
he could be that guy going forward until he doesn't, until he's finished Crawley. But I think that's the big thing with it. As I mentioned earlier, I think it's almost like this England team or regime is all based on Ashes cycle. So if they don't see that he's the man, because on the flip side of that, as I mentioned earlier, that's why they've put all this faith in Bashir is because he can get, because he's tall or tall for an off spinner, he can get that extra bounce in Australia, and then obviously when just come to shove, he's not actually getting a look in. And actually, funnily enough, that is the first time that I feel as in the last 2 or 3 years they've actually gone back on something that they've not gone back on something that they've said, but they haven't really followed something. Whereas I thought if they were playing a spinner, that would Bashir would be the man, but the whether he plays later on in the series, I don't know. But he's another one. If he's picked based on coming over here, and he's not going to play over here, then.
But I think we spoke about that in the first pod, though, where we if over here, except for when we get to possibly the slower pitches, you just need someone that's able to hold up an end, and that Bashir's not shown that he can do that. So I don't think picking Jacks over Bashir is that shocking. What I do think is shocking is that we've not waited until we've seen this pitch, because again, if you're going to go all pace out at Perth, the Gabba is probably one of the only other venues that you'd look at going pace out. So why not bring in Tone? And I get that we're looking at a batter. But do we really need another batter when we've just lost Mike Wood?
Our scorecard from the second innings or both innings, and I think suggests we probably do. And I don't know if you want to go into this now, or if you want to start talking about the picks or the squad or the team for this Test match. But I think Jamie Smith's been crying out for another batsman to come in after him, because he probably looks at what's coming after as soon as he gets to the crease and thinks I'm gonna have to go hard. I haven't got any option. There's no one here to bat with me because the bowlers will come out and they'll start swinging from the hip, won't they?
Well,
So I think Jamie
that's the
Smith will be
reason
as
why
happy as anybody
lost his
that Will
wicket.
Jacks is playing because Jacks is playing as a batsman. He will bowl some useful overs, but he's there to sort of pad the batting out, isn't he?
Well, Jamie Smith looked good in the first innings anyway, and the only reason why he got out was because he realised he had to hit out and try and get some runs on the board, and that's
And
a bit, what was it, 33 off 22, something like that.
And that when he got caught out, that had gone for in the first
6
innings, that
over
had gone
here.
for 6 in England.
Yeah, but no,
He'd have been fishing it out the River Trent at Trent Bridge.
it's. I think, yeah. Going back, I think Crawley will be the only one. Josh, you agree? Looking as an Aussie point of view,
Maybe it depends who you're bringing in. Like, if you there's a lot of talk about Jacob Bethel. So if he's your future, like, why is he not playing? And if he's good enough now, which all reports suggest he is, I don't know why he's not in the team. But that being said, though, like, yeah, you're right. Like, who's bashing down the door in England to be picked over the guys you've got in there? It's
no
like,
one's knocking Duckett off, are they?
No,
No,
God, no.
God.
No,
Leave
God,
Ben
no.
Duckett alone.
I think if you were to
Leave him
pick a
alone.
world 11, the two best openers in the world at the moment are Jaiswal and Duckett. I don't think anyone would disagree with that.
No.
Maybe you could look over to South Africa. They got some handy openers too, but I think like Duckett's a great player, and he's good. He's good in all conditions as well. He seems to be pretty switched on too. He seems to be a clever cricketer. He tends to adapt his game more than anyone else in your batting lineup. No, there's no way he gets dropped. Hope maybe for Bethel. Joe Root,
Maybe.
absolutely not.
Yeah, Joe Root's
unless he retires. But I doubt it. Brook, absolutely not. Stokes, no. It's a funny one with Stokes though. Like, the Stokes, I'd be interested to hear your guys' thoughts on this. For me, I'd probably drop Stokes down the order.
Do you reckon?
What, play him almost as a bowler?
Yeah. So have him as like your number 8, and then bringing
It's not a
in
bad
another
idea.
batsman because at the moment, like, his bowling record's still very good.
His bowling
but
is unreal
his
when he
batting
gets
lately is just not. It's just not up to scratch.
No,
I think he's very
get where
hot
you're
and
coming
cold.
from.
He's had a lot of injuries, hasn't he? Bad injuries as well.
Yeah.
But when he was one, and Root then became one as well, where he would during this BazBall, and you look back to 2019 as well. He would just sit in for a while. When he first took over as captain, he was swinging from the hip from ball number 1. But I think that was to try and get people on side, in my opinion. That this is the way we want to play, and I'm going to show you that this is this is the way that we want to do it. Whereas if you actually watch him, he's quite happy to take 10 off 30 balls, and then when the time's right to sort of go after it. But I've never really thought about dropping him down to 8. But I really do. And again, I feel quite strongly on the fact that Smith needs another bat around him, or somebody who's going to try and at least stay in with him, because the bowlers are just they just go out and have fun, don't they?
Yeah, which is fair enough. Let's be honest.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's better than watching Ollie Robinson trying to block it out and not scoring any runs or
2 pods in a row. Ollie Robinson's been brought up,
and he will come on the 3rd.
This is the wanker, isn't he?
Speaking about just going back quickly to England changes that you could make for, so like with the I can't remember how far back this was, so forgive me if I'm throwing us back for a while here, but I just thought I'd do a little bit of digging to see like who could possibly come into the England team, potential regime change it up. Crawley's out, we've gone from Brendan McCullum's batting bonanza to cricket. Has everyone seen the top 2 run scorers in the county championship, by the way?
Hamid's one, isn't it?
Sibley and Hamid. We are so back in 2021, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, Yeah, Bumble was he's been championing Hamid in the lead up to this all the time. Instead of Crawley, bring him in because he's adapted his game. Simply, he's a much
Average is
better player.
66. Average is 66 in the county championship this year.
Well, this is what got him into the England team in the first place, wasn't it? His county championship scores were undeniably very, very good, but the issue
It's
is
a big jump.
it's such a big jump from the county championship, and it probably puts a little bit of a spotlight on the county championship compared to, say, the Sheffield Shield, when that is obviously such a high standard over in Australia. When they go into Australia, the test team, it's not that big. It's obviously still a golfing class, but
especially in
it's not
home conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah, the playing against
if you look at the highest wicket takers in the county championship, some of the names that you actually pull up will never pull on an England shirt. Some of them are 38 years old, swinging it round corners, nicking people off for fun. They're never going to get in an England shirt. So it doesn't surprise me that Hamid has changed his game a little bit and is showing good scores. But do I think he'll ever come back? I don't think so.
I think it really
not in
depends
this
on.
regime.
Yeah, definitely not in this regime.
They'll never go back. They'll never go back to someone. It simply wouldn't come back in. They wouldn't go for Hamid. Rory Burns won't get a look in. Alex Lees won't get a look in. They'll look at someone like McKinney, 21, left-handed batsman. They'd look at
I do like the way he bats.
He was on the Lions tour.
Yeah, he scored a few, didn't he, in the warm-up?
Yeah, I think he scored 100, didn't he?
I think so. I'm trying to think. Let's have a quick look.
Just been looking. I think the only thing that's going to work in Hamid's favour is the fact that he's still only 28, which I know is like not young, but like it's not.
Yeah, but he was playing. He was playing in Lancashire's first team when he was 17. Hamid.
Yeah,
made his England debut at 18 and 19, so he's been around for a long, long time.
Exactly. Like he's still got a late bloom in him at least. But
I remember saying when he was out here 4 years ago during COVID, I like Hamid. I think he's a tidy player. I don't know why he doesn't get more of a go. Like he played 10 games and the poor bastard, most of those were in Australia and India.
In one of the worst England sides of the last, like, God knows how many years as well, by the way. Let's not forget that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, don't forget, Isaac, you always started watching cricket in 2019.
It was a bad time.
Look at some of the teams that have gone over there.
Do you know what it was? Do you want me to tell you what it is? It's a little bit like Constas. He's come in with a decent reputation because of what he scored, but then he just couldn't produce the same in an England shirt, which is fully the reason why Constas has been left behind a little bit for this Ashes tour, is because he couldn't produce what he was.
I don't think, sort of going off topic though, the general feeling over here is that Constas never should have got dropped. And he should be playing in this series because it's one of those things, right? He came in against India, and like, let's be honest, he won us that series with the way that he rattled India and got into their heads.
Yeah.
You had Virat Kohli on the field acting like a grub, which is, I don't know whether it's in character or out of character, but shoulder barging a 19-year-old kid and an entire nation, having a 19-year-old kid living in an entire country's head rent free, won us that series.
Phenomenal.
But then he goes to the West Indies. He doesn't get picked in Sri Lanka because they didn't think he'd suit the subcontinent conditions, which is fair enough. And they turn out to be pretty batting friendly wickets, and everyone scores runs and has a great time. Then they go to Sri Lanka, nobody scores runs, and they drop him off the back of it. I think it's a bit harsh for a kid who I don't really think did anything wrong.
No, I completely
it's
agree.
Funny with England. If England, if they bring a player in, they back him, don't they? They don't come in for one game and 2 games and then they're out. Which was what the old regime was going back 20 years. Look at how many times was Mark Ramprakash in and out of the team. Or when they were looking for a replacement for Cook or for Strauss, someone would come in and play one series, then you wouldn't see they'd be straight back to the county championship. So
is that the
on the flip side of, he's still playing for Yorkshire, yeah.
No, I think the way Constas came in against India as a young lad, had never really faced that sort of battle before, and it wasn't. What did he get? 60 in the first innings.
Yeah, 60 odd.
60, and then I don't think it was quite as fruitful in the second innings. But the way he held himself, the way he stood up to Kohli, the way he everything about it.
He
Him
reversed
at that
round
moment
Bumrah
was
early doors, didn't he?
yeah. It's if I was a captain or if I was a coach of a team and someone came in and did that, I'd be like, you've got a lot of lives because of what you've just done. Simple as. So I agree. He shouldn't have been dropped, but yeah, it is what it is.
I think Weatherald kind of made it impossible not to pick him though. Like I think the average for opening batsman in Australia at the moment in Shield cricket is something like 31, and Weatherald was the leading run scorer, averaging well over 50 for 2 years on the bounce in Shield cricket, and was the leading run scorer. So it was kind of impossible not to pick him, and it was like, well, you're going to drop Khawaja. At the time, no, but yeah,
It's a shame, but you never know. You've got 3 more.
he'll be back. He's got plenty of time. He's only 20 years old.
He will become the force, and we talk about Weatherald, and he's only just come in. He's 30, is he? 31.
30. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like he's got another 10, 15 years in him, whereas Constas has. So it's an obvious choice that he's going to come back in. It's just, when is it going to happen? Is it going to happen sooner rather than later, or is something going to happen for him to come in? We don't know. But no, I agree. But he'll get in next. Don't worry about it.
Lads, any final thoughts on the game coming up before we move on to our little sweetener for the end of the pod?
I think Jax is a good pick to extend the batting lineup. I like it. I'm not sure. It'd be interesting to see what we did if Wood was fit. Whether he'd be playing then, whether this was the plan all along. But no, I think he extends the batting order and gives James Smith some much needed help.
Yeah. No, I think
we can win the test.
Say that again, Josh.
I think it's a good pick too, and I think the other thing is just that bowling option as well. If Australia get a bit of momentum with their batting, and the wicket flattens out, and he's going to give you a lot of support as well to be able to just lock him in from one end, and you can kind of just have him and Joe Root sort of rotating as the spinners. I think that really helps you out. I don't think you need the 4 quicks plus Stokes. So yeah, I think in terms of the balance for the side, I think it's probably the best side you can pick, and I think it's a better pick than Bashir at this point of the series too.
He's tall as well, so when he is bowling off spinny, he'll get extra bounce as well because he's tall. He's not Liam Dawson who's going to fire it into the pitch. Who's 5'7", 5'8". He's a tall lad, and if there's turn and bounce, he'll definitely get it out of the pitch. So no, I'm chuffed with it, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes.
I hope you're both right, but just looking, obviously, I don't know if there's been any pictures of the pitch this morning, but just looking at the green tinge that was there yesterday or the day before, whenever they released that photo.
That's not a tinge, mate. It looked like Wembley Stadium. That's not a tinge.
If it's like that, I think we probably should have waited. So, do I understand the pick? Yes. Am I going to say it was the right pick right now? I'm not too sure. But something, obviously with Wood being injured, something had to be different, and maybe they're being brave. And you're right, we needed just a little bit more batting, but we'll see. We'll see.
Quick question for you, Josh, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
Are they delaying the decision on Cummins for, is it mind games? Is it based on the pitch, or is it just all about fitness?
I hope it's mind games. I hope there's a bit of shithousery involved.
He just walks out for the toss.
Yeah, exactly.
WWE style.
Yeah, it's no. I think a lot of it is weighing up risk versus reward. So I was talking to a friend of mine that's in a lot of the New South Wales cricket circles, and he was saying that a lot of it's risk versus reward. So it's like if they go with him and he gets injured, but they win the test, they're probably okay with it, because England all of a sudden has to win the last 3 games, which is pretty unlikely, regardless of who's playing for Australia. So to be able to go 2-0 up is huge. But are they confident that they can win without him? Because he'd be 100% right for Adelaide. So it's yeah. I think it's a few different things. It'll be the pitch as well. I think if he does play, from what I'm hearing anyway, I think it'll be for Lion. I think I'll go with 4 quicks. And look, it strengthens the batting as well. Like as we sort of spoke about last week, Cummins adds valuable runs too.
I thought that Smith had said that Lyon was definitely playing, actually, but I may have misheard that because I've listened to a lot of podcasts recently and interviews.
Yeah, I think he sort of said, "We'll have a look at the pitch, but we don't know." He said, "Heaps of things are on the table," is the quote.
Fair enough.
So I don't. Yeah, personally, I would pick Lyon. I'd have Doggett miss out. If they were to go with Cummins, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But Smith also said that they asked if Cummins was playing, and he said everything's on the table. He looked really good in the nets. And then he was also asked if he would captain the side, and Smith said, "I wouldn't have thought so." So it means that I think Steve Smith's ready to just go back to his batting role if he's talking like that. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me whatsoever if Cummins plays. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
I like it.
Before we do move on, I'm going to say one thing that the Aussies might be thinking of is with it being at the Gabba and after the first test, do you want to risk Cummins and possibly injure him or bring something, a tweak back or whatever, when you could get through this test and possibly win it and then use him? Or if you do lose this test, bringing him back for tests 3, 4, and 5 is definitely an upgrade, isn't it? So leaving him out has got more pros than cons right now. I would say if you're an Aussie, it's not a huge miss right now if England are going to play like they did in the first test, because you beat them. You'll beat us comfortably if we play anywhere like what we did in that first test at the Gabba.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, it'll be interesting. I just think with Australia's fast bowlers, like my tip is Australia will win. It's a pink ball test. We don't lose pink ball tests typically. Mitchell Stark has a ridiculous record with the pink ball. If Cummins plays, so does he. They've both got good records at the Gabba. Even our batting, I look at our batting lineup. Travis Head and Steve Smith and Marnus all have really good records at the Gabba too. So, yeah, I think everything sort of points to an Aussie win. But that being said, England, they're capable of doing some crazy stuff too. So, also wouldn't surprise me if they've got away with if they get away with sneaking a win through a ridiculous innings from a Joe Root or Harry Brook or someone.
I'd love it.
It'd be good. It'd be good. Well, just like how Tim Payne can't wait to get people to the Gabba, I can't wait to get us onto our next section of the podcast. So,
What a segue!
I just want to. We've got on the agenda to talk about the greatest innings you've ever seen in the Ashes. We've got one for Australia and one for an Englishman. I don't mind starting this one later. Ladies and gentlemen, boys, because I'll be honest with you, I've not really got a lot to choose from because mine are pretty much set in stone. Because I've got the first test of the 2019 Ashes series with Steve Smith. Pick either one. He scored 144 in the first innings and 142 in the second innings, both on a similar amount of balls. I think I remember at the time. This was when Richard was sat there teaching me like literally what everything is in cricket, doing his best. And he literally said, we sat there in the morning and said, this man will not go out, and he did not for a very, very long time, and it was still giving me nightmares to this day. And then my second one is the exact same series, one that Josh will know well. It's Stokes versus Australia at Leeds, Edgbaston. Nope. Headingley. Wrong part of the country, I should know that.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm going with, because that is iconic. That is absolutely iconic. Every time it cuts to the man in the crowd, my heart flutters a little
That
bit.
was Josh.
That was Josh.
It was Josh.
God, imagine that'd be an exclusive. But yeah, I think, to be honest with you, I think for what I've seen, I think they're pretty standard run-of-the-mill innings, to be honest with you. I don't think there's a lot of spice in mine, because they are just... Steve Smith was an absolute machine in that entire series. And
I think you're wrong saying that, Isaac.
you think I'm wrong?
No, as in saying that they're run-of-the-mill, that they're absolutely not. I think Steve Smith's 2019...
No. I'm not saying that those innings were running the mills. What I mean is they are the obvious choices for what I've seen.
I go back to 2005 though, mate, and
Yeah, but I've not seen that either.
I know, but I have, and I still pick that innings from Steve Smith.
There you go then.
There was a couple that I thought of, Ricky Ponting in 2005, but the fact, and there's a few things that come into my mind when I think of Steve Smith. It was 144 that I thought of. It was just a year after Sandpaper Gate, I think it was. Is that right, Josh?
It was his first series back.
First series back, yeah.
Yeah, series back.
Yeah, first game back post Sandpaper Gate, like after the ban. In both innings, he scored 100.
But it was you were 122 for 8. I've got on my notes. That was quite possibly when every single person in Edgbaston is screaming for your blood, because you're obviously going to do that. It was easily the pantomime villain with David Warner. But we were singing, we've seen you crying on the telly. That 144 was sublime in those conditions. First test back after a ban for that cause. In an Ashes test, when you're 8 down and you've got nothing on the board, to do that was phenomenal. So I agree with that for your Aussie pick completely and utterly.
Thank you. I feel like I've done well there.
I'll let other people do Aussies before I do my Englishman.
Well, you may as well get your Englishman out of the way.
Between... Oh yeah, go on then, Stu.
Okay, so that's my Englishman. It was close, because I think Ben Stokes' Headingley was something that is a one in a lifetime kind of opportunity to watch, for what we needed. But there is a lovely day, and it's been brought up from our first test. So there's a link into our first test this year. But Alistair Cook's 235 at Brisbane in 2010 was wow. It was not flashy in any way, sense of the form, and Alistair Cook was not. It was just cricket personified, especially away from home, especially in Brisbane. It was, oh yeah, it honestly, I've got goose pimples thinking about it. It was that good. And I'd like to see anyone else come up with a different pick for an Englishman for that, to be honest. But yeah, those are my 2 picks.
Well, I've got a different one for an Englishman.
Go on then.
But it's from the same series, so I've gone Peterson, 227 at Adelaide. So I've written 3 down, and Stokes is the obvious one. I knew someone would go for Stokes. Cook 235, not out, by the way.
Not out.
That was in a draw. Peterson at Adelaide, second test, to put us 1-0 up, was in a win. So that's what I went for, and he went at a decent clip as well. 227 from 308 balls. whereas Cook was 235 in about 2.5 days. I think. Cook's one of my favourite players of all
400
time. But
odd balls.
Peterson was he was a superb player, and I'd love to see him in this England regime now. But I've got a little bit more clout behind Peterson because that was in a win. My Australian one, it was down to two for me. We've already mentioned one of them. I still don't know which one to go for. So I will go for Adam Gilchrist, WACA 2006.
Yeah.
BazBall BazBall in England. So
9 ball, 100.
100, yeah, 102 not out, and he actually got to 100 in 57 balls. But if you hear him talk about it, I don't know if anybody remembers. He got a duck in the first innings, and then comes out and does nine in the second innings. I mentioned him last week in my Ashes 11. Like you can get Australia 5 down, that great Australia team, and then you see Adam Gilchrist walking down the steps. It must have put the fear of God into him. My other one would have been was Ricky Ponting, which was a fantastic knock, but again that was in a draw.
Was that at Manchester?
Yeah, Old Trafford, 156,
Yeah.
2005. What people do forget is in the first innings in that game, Michael Vaughan scored 166, but Ricky Ponting's innings is the one that people remember. It was a fantastic innings, and I remember it for the fact that he absolutely middled it down the leg side to Grant Jones, stood there gawping at the umpire and didn't walk off. When I thought all Aussies were walkers, but yeah, no, I've gone for I've gone for Gilly for his 102 not out of the WACA
Nice.
after a duck in the first innings.
Just getting it.
Well, anyone that knows me knows how much I love the Marsh Brothers, and I was trying as hard as I could to put one of them in here, but I couldn't. I thought Mitchell Marsh at I think that was Old Trafford as well, actually. When he came back into the side, he scored a runnable 100. That was pretty cool. Sean Marsh at Adelaide, 126 not out. That was a pretty good innings. When we were in trouble, but I think for me, it was 06-07 Ashes in the first test in Brisbane. It was Ricky Ponting in the first innings, 196. Was the best Ashes innings I've ever seen from an Australian, and I think what made it sort of stick in my mind was, we're obviously devastated that we lost 05, and this was our first chance to sort of get back at you, and for you guys to come to Brisbane, and then for the captain to put on 196, and I think the total might have been 600 odd, and then I think rolled you guys for about 150. It was sort of just a bit of an up yours to England to sort of say, we might have lost in 05, but you're on our soil now, and I think it was a big thing for that team as well. I heard a lot of stories that guys like McGrath and Warren were all going to retire after 05, but because they lost, they just had this burning sort of vengeance in them that they wanted to play in 06 and 07 and retire after that series. And for them to do that, I think that kind of set up what was going to be 5-0. And I was listening to an interview with Ricky Ponting very recently, and he was sort of saying, after Brisbane, they were sort of shell shocked, and then they came to Adelaide, and an amazing Adelaide Test match. He said after amazing Adelaide, he goes, it might sound cocky and it might sound arrogant, but we knew they weren't going to win a Test match in that series. And you hear Flintoff talk about it as well, and he says the exact same thing. He said after Adelaide, he's like, we're always staring down the barrel of 5-0. So Ricky Ponting for mine at Brisbane. And then I think I'm the same. I think I'm Ben Stokes 2019 for an Englishman. Pretty ridiculous innings. I mean, he had his chances. I think we dropped him about 3 or 4 times, but you've got to cash in. You've got to cash in when
And
the
had
luck's
him
going with you.
absolutely plumb LBW as well.
Oh, I'm not over it. Fucking Joel Wilson. I'm so glad he got sacked.
And
It's
Lion
in halfway up
dropped an
middle.
easy chance to run out Leach.
Yeah, Line dropping the run out. Yeah,
Good
Plum
play.
LBW'd him. I think Marcus Harris dropped him. Steve Smith dropped him.
Yeah.
It was just definitely a few fumbles there. So, that's kind of a game where you look at and you sort of say like Australia just shouldn't have lost, but the way Ben Stokes was playing and hitting that short side of the ground, it was a pretty incredible innings.
Travis Head basically did what Ben Stokes did to you guys in
A little bit differently though, because Stokes had no one with him.
different. Absolutely. And we were going nowhere, just staring down the barrel, weren't we? Fantastic innings. Just that's a sort of 1 in 100 type of innings, isn't it? If you ran that
it
back
was a
100
lifetime.
times, we only win that game once.
Yeah.
He nearly did it again in Lords in 2023, if you remember, with
He did.
the Johnny
I was
Bairstow
close
guy.
to picking it. I was close to picking it, but I just thought I'd give Alistair Cook because that Brisbane 235 now was just. And I know I
Yeah, and I
get
think
what you're
Stokes
saying.
is the obvious one, isn't it? That'd be the first one that comes to mind.
Yeah, if you ask most fans of Ashes cricket, that's probably because it's so I say so recent. It was 6 years ago, but it was recent enough for everyone to be like that is what it was. But yeah, I think we've done well with those picks. To be honest, boys, I think we've all kind of gone down the same avenue. But I like the fact that we've all got different people. And well done, Isaac, for picking 2 very, very good innings from 2 very ridiculous.
Well, I've basically batted
Can I just
myself.
say as well? Can I just say when I kept going back to Gilly getting a duck in the first innings, that's me saying him bouncing back from getting a duck and actually going out and doing that in the second innings because he's probably shitting his
we get
pants about
Crawley on
getting
the
a pair,
phone
isn't
so
he?
you can speak to him directly?
Hey?
Shall we get Crawley on the phone so you can speak to him directly?
Yeah, go and watch Adam Gilchrist batting. Try batting left-handed.
It does say a lot about him as a player, though, isn't it? That you can just brush that off and then go and put him one of the great all-time innings.
Absolutely, fantastic player.
The fastest Ashes 100 ever. Yeah,
quite ridiculous, isn't it?
I wonder where Travis Head's 100's going to rank. I didn't pick that innings. It's right up there with the best I've ever seen. I just wonder if that's recency bias, and I think what the contextual impact it's going to have on the series will make a difference too. So if Australia go on to win the series, you probably look at it, and particularly if it's a tight series, you probably look at it and go, well, yeah, it probably is up there with the all-time great Knox. But if we lose 4-1, probably doesn't really get spoken about.
Yeah,
much.
if you then go and basically piss this like it looks like nothing, then it's probably just going to go down as another Tuesday, isn't it? But if it's a good series, then it's
that's
good,
right.
isn't
it? We haven't actually mentioned this, but it was that much of a roller coaster test match, the first test, that it seemed to me like the locals were on the verge of turning on the Aussies or on the Aussie team after getting rolled so easily in the first innings. So if he doesn't come out, if he doesn't come out and do that, God only knows what. Because his head is throwing England's bowling off completely. That we struggled to, didn't have an answer to. If he goes cheaply, we could, you guys could be in turmoil. It could be a completely different conversation. So contextually, like you said, it's enormous. And if you go on to hammer us or win a close series, then that ultimately is the difference, isn't it?
Yeah, so definitely.
Great knock. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how we look back on that in 10 years.
Agreed.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it was when you actually. That was one thing I didn't do, and that was probably my own fault for not going back and looking at, because I didn't want to get angry again. But looking when you watched him live doing it, it was fireworks without being over the top. England lost their heads, and he took full advantage and played one of the best I have ever seen. And I think Josh is right with it being so recent. It probably didn't come into our minds as much. But yeah, what you've both said is going to be. We might be talking at the end of this 5-test series and going, Travis Head won you the Ashes. Or we could be saying, remember that Travis Head innings on that first test.
Madness. Absolute madness of a test, wasn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
Anyway, what do we final thoughts, boys? What do we think? 2-0?
That'd be a pretty low score. That I'm gonna think. There's gonna be a few more runs than that.
No, he's talking about Zach Crawley's innings in the Test match.
Oh no, it's another duck. It's another duck. No, I think depending on, I'm gonna wipe off all negativity and be nothing but an unbridled, like, delusional English fan. And I think we've got one win in us, and I think the bounce back from this could be a real sort of like head turner. I think we could get it. I think we could get it. I think we could get the win.
I think that this is the most important toss that Ben Stokes will have gone out for as England captain. I think if we win the toss, I think we can win. If we lose the toss, I think we could struggle. I think the toss is incredibly important, and I think we can win the test, and I still think we can win the series. But we need to make some adjustments. And then time will tell as to whether that will whether that's going to happen.
I don't know. I wish I had your optimism, but after that first test, leaving me so angry, I think it's 2-0. I think unless something magical happens, and do you know what? I'm actually making too much of it. If we use our brains, we can easily get a result. And my worry is that we don't learn enough from that first test. And we're obviously playing against the best pink ball team in the world. Whether or not that's the right thing to say when you're the only team that really has stuck to it, I'm not sure. But you've got to look at that and go, we're probably going 2-0 down.
Great optimism, Nasty. I like it. No, I do like it. No, I'm joking. Josh, any final thoughts for the predictions?
Yeah, I think it will be 2-0. And I also think this is the series. This will be. I think this is sort of the game defining series. So Australia 2-0. I think Mitchell Starc will. I think he'll go great guns again. I think Pat Cummins will play. And I'm tipping a Mitchell Starc man of the match with the pink ball. Australia to have a convincing win.
Convincing. Now that's the bit that I don't like.
Hopefully Mitchell Starc trips over a stray ball in the outfield during the warm-up.
Oh God, imagine.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, boys, we'll speak definitely, but we'll see you on the other side of this test.
We absolutely will. This has been another riveting episode of M6 to New South Wales, and next time we speak, it'll be 1-1, and we'll be very happy about England's team. No problems whatsoever. Anyway, thank you all, and we'll see you soon.